What if I told you that one decision, made hastily and without real understanding, shattered an ancient civilization, displaced millions, and sparked a conflict that still endures today? How did one of the most culturally diverse regions on Earth become the epicenter of one of the largest human migrations in history? Join me as we delve into the heartbreaking story of the partition of India and Pakistan, a story of power, politics, and the enduring scars of division. The partition of India and Pakistan in 1947 is one of the most significant and tragic events in modern history. It marked the end of over 2 centuries of British rule and the painful birth of 2 new nations. An unimaginable human cost accompanied this division. Millions were displaced, hundreds of thousands lost their lives, and communities that had coexisted for centuries were violently torn apart. Even today, the scars of this separation remain etched in the collective memory of both nations. But how did it all come to this? Historical context. To understand the partition, we must return to the era of British colonization, a time when the Indian subcontinent was a patchwork of princely states, vast empires, and diverse cultures. The British East India Company, initially a trading enterprise, systematically gained control through a combination of diplomacy, military conquest, and exploitation of local rivalries. By the mid-19th century, following the Indian Rebellion of 1857, the British Crown took direct control, inaugurating the period known as the British Raj. Seeds of division. British administrators implemented policies that emphasized religious and social differences, consolidating their power by keeping Indian communities divided. Census reports categorized people based on religion, reinforcing a sense of distinct identities. Educational and legal systems favored certain groups, often creating resentment and mistrust among different communities. The rise of nationalism. By the late 19th century, resistance to British rule gained momentum. The Indian National Congress, INC, formed in 1885, advocated for political reform and greater self-governance. Initially inclusive, it attracted members from all religious and social backgrounds. However, as the INC grew more assertive, some Muslim leaders feared Hindu dominance in a future independent India. In response, the All India Muslim League was established in 1906 to advocate for Muslim political rights. Its leader, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, emerged as a formidable figure, insisting on constitutional safeguards for Muslims. The divide between Congress, advocating a secular and unified India, and the League, pushing for greater Muslim autonomy, widened. The British exacerbated these divides through policies like the Partition of Bengal in 1905, which split the region along religious lines. Though reversed in 1911 due to popular opposition, the episode left a lingering sense of religious polarization. Languages too became markers of identity, Urdu for Muslims and Hindi for Hindus, reflecting the growing socio-political chasm. The road to partition. During World War II, Britain's need for Indian support led to vague promises of independence. While Congress opposed British involvement without guarantees, the Muslim League supported the war effort, anticipating a political advantage. By 1940, the League formally proposed a separate Muslim state, Pakistan. In 1946, as independence loomed, communal violence erupted across India, particularly in Calcutta and Punjab. The infamous Direct Action Day, called by the League, led to brutal clashes, reinforcing the idea that coexistence was no longer possible. Political negotiations broke down, and calls for partition grew louder. The final decision. In June 1947, the British announced they would leave India by August. In a hurried process, Sir Cyril Radcliffe, unfamiliar with India, was tasked with drawing the borders. His decision split the provinces of Punjab and Bengal, severing communities and turning neighbours into enemies. The boundary line, known as the Radcliffe Line, was published on August 17, 1947, 2 days after independence. It ran through cities, villages, and farmlands, dividing families, businesses, and entire ways of life. In the ensuing chaos, violence erupted as people fled in fear of persecution. Human consequences. The migration that followed was the largest in human history. Over 14 million people moved, seeking refuge in the newly formed India or Pakistan. Trains carrying refugees became death trains as mobs attacked those fleeing. Women faced horrific violence and entire communities were wiped out.
हो गया, आपस में हिंदू मुसलमानों का झगड़ा शुरू हो गया। पहले कभी नहीं होता था, बड़ा पीसफुली हम लोग रहते थे दोनों कम्युनिटीज़। पता नहीं क्या हुआ, बाहर के लोगों ने आगे शरारत की या जो भी है, या किसी पॉलिटिकल कोई होगा, तो उसकी वजह से मतलब बलवा शुरू हो गया। आगजनी भी हुई और फायरिंग भी हुई, लोग मरे भी सही। तो हम लोग, हमारे एक मुसलमान होते थे हमारे पड़ोसी, तो उनके घर में हम 3 दिन रहे और उसके बाद हम थाने में चले गए। मतलब वो एक नदीनाथ नाम का एक थानेदार था, उन्होंने सब हिंदुओं को थाने में बुला लिया जस्ट फॉर देयर प्रोटेक्शन। फिर उसके बाद हम DI खां आए अंडर दी
Makeshift camps sprang up across both nations, filled with the displaced and destitute. Stories of survival circulated, tales of courage, betrayal, and heartbreaking loss. Governments on both sides were overwhelmed by the sheer scale of human tragedy. Long-lasting repercussions. The partition left deep-rooted bitterness. India and Pakistan have since fought multiple wars, particularly over the contested region of Kashmir. Families remain divided, and memories of violence passed down through generations continue to shape national identities. Kashmir became the most contentious issue. The princely state's accession to India triggered a war that solidified the region's division, and subsequent conflicts have only deepened the dispute. Even today, Kashmir remains a flashpoint, with both nations holding firm to their claims. Conclusion. The partition of India and Pakistan was not just a geopolitical reorganization. It was a human tragedy, an eruption of violence from which stories of loss, hope, and survival still echo. It shaped two nations defined as much by their shared history as by their painful separation.